Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is the Surge Effect, and this podcast, well, it'll probably have an effect on you. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Surge Effect. Today's episode of the Surge Effect, we are going to be talking about DOGE, D-O-G-E, the Department of Government Efficiency. Now, this was something that Trump campaigned on long and hard. He always talked about Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk were going to be heading DOGE and finding out government waste. So before we get into this, we are going to be talking about two sponsors, of course. First sponsor is Love My Legs Owen Sound Grey Bruce. Click on the link below. Head on over to their Facebook page and check out all the ladies' leggings they have to offer. Number two, Heshirtssheshirts. Head on over to their website and their Facebook page at Heshirtssheshirts Plus. They are more than just another t-shirt company. They sell all kinds of clothing as well as lasered items. Check them out. Also like to talk about BCAAs. Click on the link below. Head over and grab your branch chain amino acids. Good for hydration. Good for what ails you. Go get yours today. The second one is my podcast mic. It is awesome. Click on the link below and go and grab yours today if you're into vlogging or YouTubing and all kinds of fun stuff. Anyway, it's a great little mic, and you will enjoy it immensely. All right, so let's get started with DOGE. So when DOGE first hit the blocks, Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk were supposed to be heading it up. So the other day, Elon Musk was in the Oval Office with Trump and, of course, Elon's little son, X. And I'm going to play most of this for you. And this is a little bit about DOGE and what Elon has to say. Now, some people would say that Elon, gave Trump a bunch of money and blah, blah, blah. But guess what? Mark Zuckerberg gave Biden's campaign $450 million, and you didn't hear too much of a peep out of all that. So, once again, Orange Man bad. So here we go. Here's Elon Musk talking in the Oval Office.
At a high level, if you say what is the goal of DOGE, and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, X, we would have to, if you sorry. So, tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, or if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at this, if you looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And then we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit, and if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense, but and if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million,
right,
et cetera?
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that you know, there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, you know, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But just there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So, you know, we're looking at, say, well, we just if you look at say Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation, can take up to a year to get on the list, and even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing. So what we're talking about here, we're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously. But if people don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest. So then when you understand that, then it makes sense. Oh, that's why everything just, they approve all the payments at Treasury. Because if you approve all the payments, you don't get complaints. But now we're saying that, no, actually, we are going to complain. If money is spent badly, if your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay. Your tax dollars need to be spent wisely on things that matter to the people. I mean, these things, like, it's just common sense. It's not draconian or radical, I think. It's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it. So, you know, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, you know, that's a case where, like, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous, one of the two. And then there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, like, why is there no identifying information? Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it, and that they receive it quickly and accurately. I'll tell you another crazy thing. So, You know, one of the things is like we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this, obviously there need to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, well, okay, well, let's, if people can retire, you know, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments and everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told, no, the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire. Doesn't that sound crazy? There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think if we can take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, you know, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else, and you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way. So.
All right, so there's Elon, of course, in the Oval Office with Trump, giving people a bit of an idea of what he's trying to do. Obviously, him and his crew are trying to save the Americans money, trying to save taxpayers money. Now, this is part of Elon's team. Now, they're young and getting a lot of heat from it, right? Because their ages are between 18 and 25, I believe, somewhere in that ballpark. But these guys are geniuses, right? They're geniuses. But for the flack that they're getting from people, I would say look no further than this person here, this Alexis Ohanian, posted this on Twitter. But here are the ages of the Founding Fathers, July 4th, 1776. Here are some of the Founding Fathers' ages, the ones that signed your Declaration of Independence down in the States. James Monroe, 18. Aaron Burr, 20. Alexander Hamilton was 21. James Madison was 25. Thomas Jefferson was 33. Of course, Adams was 40. Revere was 41. And Washington was 44. But with that being said, they were young. So who cares? Are they able to do their job and do it well? Well, I would say these young men can. All right. So, of course, people with that have Trump derangement syndrome is what, of course, people call it. Doesn't matter. It's like Orange Man bad, right? Orange Man bad is basically what it is. But
this report,
I'm going to show you a clip of Al Gore, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama. This is going back to 1993, of course, with Clinton and Gore, and then more recently with Obama when he was in power. But this is what these guys had to say. Have a listen.
report tells us how to cut waste, cut red tape, streamline the bureaucracy, change procurement rules, change the personnel rules, and create a government that works better and costs less.
By paying for these plans first with cuts in government waste and efficiency, second with cuts, not gimmicks, in government spending.
We'll prove that we can spend the money we have in an appropriate way and stop wasting so much of it.
But over the next several months, we will be looking at every other agency and program, asking the direct question, do we really need this agency? Do we really need this program?
20 years into a period in our history where most American wage earners are working longer work weeks for stagnant wages. It is outrageous for the government to have rules and regulations which take those people's money from them and spend it on things that cannot be justified.
One of the commitments that I made to the American people was that we would do a better job here in Washington in rooting out wasteful spending.
This report tells us how to cut waste, cut red tape, streamline the bureaucracy, change procurement rules, change the personnel rules, and create a government that works better and costs less.
I've read it, and where it says the president should, the president will.
Among the 800 recommendations, eliminating 12% of the federal workforce, merging some government agencies like the FBI, the DEA, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, closing hundreds of government offices outside Washington.
From the day I took office, one of the commitments that I made to the American people was that we would do a better job here in Washington in rooting out wasteful spending. We thought that it was entirely appropriate for our governments and our agencies to try to root out waste, large and small, in a systematic way. It means cutting some programs that I think are worthy, but we may not be able to afford right now. A lot of the action is in Congress and legislative, but in the meantime, we don't need to wait for Congress in order to do something about wasteful spending that's out there. We haven't seen as much action out of Congress as we'd like, and that's why we launched on our own initiative the campaign to cut waste. And we're going to keep on finding every possible way that we can do that, even if Congress is not acting. There you go.
There you go. Just signed just like that. So, of course, you hear Clinton saying, where it says the president should, the president will. Well, they did. And they saved a little bit, but not as much as Trump and Elon is saving. People can say what they want, but with DOGE, Elon is saving them tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars so far, and it's only been a few weeks. He's uncovering so much money, it's ridiculous, right? But why is it that Clinton and Gore and Obama, they said they basically had their own DOGE, no problem? And those are two Democratic presidents, no problem, right? But Trump, of course, comes along. These people with the Trump derangement syndrome on the Democratic Party. This is what some of these people had to say the other day. These Dems are losing their minds.
We will not take this. We will fight back. Fight back. Fight back. And as I close out, because I know we've been out here for a long time, and goddamn it, shut down the Senate. We are at war. We will see you in the courts, in Congress, in the streets. Elon Musk is a Nazi nutball baby.
We are not going to make America great again by making America hate again. We are going to stand and fight. All across America, people are knocked down, but they are getting up, and they are going to fight the dictator of Donald Trump and his henchman, Elon Musk.
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure, you understand what democracy looks like. This ain't it.
We will win. We will win. We will win. We will win. We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass.
This is a corrupt abuse of power that is going on.
This illegal, unconstitutional interference with congressional power is threatening lives all over the world.
This is a constitutional crisis that we are in today. Let's call it what it is.
We talked about Trump wanting to be a dictator on day one, and here we are. This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like.
I don't think I'd be taking too many lessons from the last one there. Omar, she's been telling immigrants, how to basically circumvent the ICE down in the United States of America, which is kind of a bad thing. But anyway, here's one of the things that Elon Musk said after all those Democrats were freaking out on the Hill. Said the corrupt politicians are protesting outside the USAID building are the ones getting money from USAID. That's why they're there. They want your stolen dollars. Of course, that was Elon Musk response on Twitter after listening to all them carry on. So here's just a regular.
I do not care that.
Here's a regular person on TikTok. She's talking about Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett was one of the last people that was on the Hill there talking about about Trump and Elon Musk.
I do not care that Elon Musk is unconventional in his methods. So according to Jasmine Crockett, who said that she is also on the House Budgeting Committee, Elon Musk is doing things wrong, and that's why Democrats are so upset. She said that what he's supposed to do when he discovers these things is convene a committee and have a committee meeting so that they can discuss things quietly. He is not supposed to bring things to the attention of the American people, and he has been posting things on X. He's been vocal about it on social media every time he finds something. But I do not care if his methods are unconventional. I think that the reason they want him to discover these things and keep it behind closed doors so that they can continue with this money laundering that they have been doing over the last few years. And I'm curious too about Jasmine Crockett because she loves to talk about the oppression of the black person in this country and how white people, according to her, will never understand how it feels to be a black person in America. This is what Jasmine Crockett loves to talk about. But what about the oppression of the American taxpayer? You have taxes taken out of your paycheck before you even get it. And our government, our elected officials are sending our tax dollars all over the world, to paying for the most ridiculous things on our dime. $59 million spent on housing undocumented migrants in the state of New York in luxury hotels. $59 million. But meanwhile, we have American citizens who are sleeping in tents and who lost everything they have. But our government managed to come up with $59 million to house undocumented immigrants in luxury hotels in the state of New York. If Jasmine Crockett and all these other Democrats were really for the people, this is what they would be talking about. They would be advocating for the people instead of advocating against an appointed elected official who is doing his job.
Amen to that. Just like she said, appointed. Elon Musk is appointed by Trump, and they're all saying, oh, he's not elected. Who elected your ass? Well, guess what? Anthony Fauci was not elected. He was appointed. Anthony Fauci, who did all the stuff he did during COVID, he was appointed, not elected. Who was the other one? Mayorkas. Alejandro Mayorkas. He was looking after the border. Millions of people flooded across the border into America. Millions. He was appointed. He wasn't elected. So Democrats, yeah, you can take a back seat on that one. So here's a reporter that asked a question the other day, and it is quite something. Have a listen.
To DOGE just for a second. Earlier, the subcommittee headed by Chairman Marjorie Taylor Greene, her and her staff discovered $2.7 trillion in improper payments to Medicare, Medicaid, overseas, to people who should not have gotten it. Some of this room might have missed that press conference. Can you elaborate on what the president is thinking at this point?
Well, again, that's another example. There's a very long list of the fraud, waste, and abuse that DOGE is identifying on a daily basis. Elon Musk also talked about yesterday about Social Security payments that are going out the door for people who are no longer with us. Unfortunately, I would say that is certainly fraud. There's also a lot of contracts they've identified that, just as a hypothetical example, are $1 million, but only 500,000 went out the door. So where's the rest of that cash? And so that's the thing. Those are the things that DOGE is working on every single day. And I would just remind everybody in this room, this is what President Trump campaigned on doing. He's delivering on a promise that
That's right. He is delivering on a promise that he said he'd do, and that was have Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk look after the efficiency in the government. Literally what he said he would do. And now he's doing it, and everyone's losing their minds. The Democrats are losing their minds. So, of course, Elon Musk there was talking earlier in regards to Social Security when he was in the House. In the Oval Office in the White House. And here are the numbers. I'm going to pop them up here on my screen so you can see them. Look at this. So the age range, the count, the monthly, and the annual. This is what these people are getting paid from 0 to 9. Social Security, 38 million people, 38,825,000 people, and the money that they're making. Look at these numbers in the bottom. They have people in the United States of America between 120 and 129. There's 3,472,000 people between those ages. Let's go a bit farther down the list. How about 160 to 169? 121,807 people. Let's go a bit farther down the line. How about some people that are between 200 and 209 years old? 879. Go a bit farther down. How about 240 years old to 249 years old? There's 1. How about 360 years old to 369 years old? Could you imagine? There's 1. That's impossible. This is government waste. This is what Elon's trying to tell people. And this is what the Democrats are upset about. It's absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. Right? This is how ridiculous it really is. You own a store. Your store gets robbed. Elon looks at the video footage at the robbery and tells you who did it. And now you want to arrest Elon. You're an idiot. That's about how simple that is. 1 million people are whining about DOGE telling on them. Yet not a single one of them has accused DOGE of lying. Not one. So that, in a nutshell, is what Elon Musk is doing. He's finding waste, and the Democrats are upset and pissed and mad that he is literally finding money that is being wasted. That money is the American people's money, just like here in Canada. Our money being wasted, being sent to other countries when we have our own problems in our own country. It's unbelievable that the managers of this country are so neglecting the Canadian citizens. Just like the managers of the United States of America have been neglecting the American citizens. But now, just like J.D. Vance said the other day, there's a new sheriff in town. Like him or hate him, and like I've always said, I don't like the guy, I don't hate the guy, love the policies, and I wish that we here in Canada had somebody that went to bat as well as Trump's gone to bat for the people in the States. Because we need someone to look after the people of this country. Make Canada first. We have the resources in Canada to look after every man, woman, and child in this country. But poor management has sent us down a different path. And right on the horizon, we have, of course, Mark Carney. Mark Carney is a globalist. He's a World Economic Forum board member. These are people that are not elected by Canadian citizens. Mark Carney doesn't know if he's European or Canadian. He's all over the map. He'd be the worst thing that ever happened to Canada if he got into office. If you don't believe me, do some of your homework, and you will see soon enough that Mark Carney has been pulling the strings with Trudeau for the last 9 years, almost 10 years now, in regards to carbon tax, saying we don't pay enough, we got to pay more. He has been robbing Canadians of jobs because of pipelines that he pulled. But yet he has a company that spent billions of dollars in European pipelines and Brazilian pipelines, and that's okay. I've covered all this on podcasts gone past, so I'm just talking about stuff I've already spoken about. We need people in this country to look after Canadians, period. That's it. That's the bottom line. Until we get somebody that's going to look after Canadians and our best interests, we're just going down a bad path. The Liberals have sold this country down a bad path for 9 years. We need somebody like DOGE. We need somebody in this country to look after our money that's being wasted. That money needs to go towards things in Canada, not other foreign soil. It needs to be here, on domestic soil, our soil, Canadian soil. That's the way I feel about it. I have lots of great American friends, They're my family. And I think it was disgusting the other night when the young 15-year-old was singing the American anthem and Canadians booed. That's not who we are. And it has nothing to do with a 15-year-old girl. It has nothing to do with the American anthem. It has nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the people looking after this country. They're supposed to be looking after this country. Those are the people that you should be concerned about. Our government. Those are the ones you should be concerned about. It's just that simple. All right, folks, with that being said, that's it for today's podcast. I'm going to sign off, but before I do, like I always say, life is tough. Everybody is going through something, and life is not easy. But you got to do one thing. That one thing is hard for some, simple for others. But you got to keep moving forward. Got to keep moving forward. Like they say, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is the present. That's why they call it a gift. Until next time, everyone, have yourself a great day. Thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. Always appreciated. You can also download the Rumble app. I'm also found on Rumble. And until next podcast, everyone, have yourself a great day. Cheers.